everyone. In this video, we are going to go over how to compute a production budget. Okay, so a production budget. Before we begin, I'd like for you to write down this equation. Okay, and we'll go through this, but just write it down first. You will always take unit sales, you'll add in the desired ending inventory, and that will equal the total needed. Now this we are focusing on units. So the total needed for units is that total. Well, you're going to look to see if there's beginning inventory. If there is, you already have some units in there. So you don't need all of those. You're going to subtract the beginning inventory. Write that in your notes, because a lot of times we subtract ending inventory for different equations. Not for this one. We're going to subtract beginning inventory, and that will give us the number of units we need to produce. Okay, so let's look at this problem, and before we begin, we are focusing on units, not dollars in this budget, units. Okay, so here's what it says. Hoffman Foods produces specialty soup sold in jars. The projected sales in dollars in jars for each quarter of the upcoming year are as follows. Okay, all right, so they give you first quarter, the total number of jars are 152,500. Notice I'm not even using those dollar figures. The second quarter is 181,500, third, fourth, and then I've already totaled it across. That's just totaling this across, okay? All right, here's what it says. Hoffman anticipates selling 223 jars with total sales revenue of $260,000 in the first quarter of the year following the year given in the preceding table. I'm going to use that later on. Okay, so remember that number. Hoffman has a policy that the ending inventory of the jars must be 30% of the following quarter's sales. Prepare a production budget for the year showing the number of jars. Okay. So let's look at quarter one. So we've got quarter one is 152,500. Okay? All right, so here's what it says one more time. Hoffman has a policy that the ending inventory, the desired ending inventory must be 30% of the following sales. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to take 181,500 and I multiply that by 30%. And that gives me 450. But remember, I went here. I multiplied it. Okay, let's go all the way across. All right, so now I'm going to do the next quarter, which I'm going to look at the next quarter sales. I'm going to take 213. I multiply that by 30%, and that gives me 63,900. Just kind of draw an arrow. That's how I did it. And then I'm going to go across. I'm going to take the next, which is 160,500. I multiply that by 30%, and that gives me 48,150. Let me just draw a line where I got that. All right, now I'm in quarter four. Well, guess what? I'm going to stop at quarter four. I don't have that information. So I'm going to go back to the problem. And what did they tell me? They told me they anticipate selling 223 jars with total sales revenue of $260 in the first quarter of the year following, given the preceding table. So they needed to give me that information in order to figure out my desired ending inventory. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first, well, they actually gave me the sales. So here's the sales in units. And that is 223,000. I'm going to multiply that by 30%, and that gives me the 66,900. So in order for us to be able to figure that, we would have to be given the next period's information, and they did. So let me put that in blue so you're clear where that came from. That's going to be the 66,900. Okay? All right, so now let me go back to the problem. So now we're just going to total down. We're going to take 152,500 plus 54,450. That gives me 206,950. I'm going to total this down 181,500, and I'm going to total 63,900. That gives me 245,400. I'm going to total this 213,48,150. That gives me 261,150. Take your time in totaling these. You can easily transpose numbers when you do budgets, so take your time, okay? All right, so now I'm going to total down. I take the 165,000 plus the 66,900, and I have the 227,400, okay? All right, so then I will, all right, so let me talk to you about this one. I'm going to actually hold off on your year-to-date total so I can really focus on that, okay? So I'm going to go back to this. All right, so now let's do beginning inventory, all right? So beginning inventory, we are going to take the unit sales. Remember, it's the next period sales, right? So let me do that in blue. So the next period sale, well, we have quarter one, 152,500. I multiply that by 30%, and that gives me 45,750. That was my ending in the last quarter equals beginning in the next. Okay, so remember, your ending inventory from a prior period is your beginning inventory for the next period. Okay? All right, so that was 45,750. I just bring that down, 45,750. Okay, and I'm going to subtract that. All right, now let me grab my black, which is 161. So the units to produce, 161,200. That's my final total. Okay? All right, so remember, my ending inventory from the prior period, I'm just going to bring that right down. All right, and that is 54,450. Okay, I subtract that. When I do, I get 190,950. Okay, so again, my desired ending inventory, 63,900. I'm just going to bring that right down. And I'm going to subtract that. 261,150 gives me 197,250. All right, and then my ending inventory was for Q, here it is, 48,150. So I bring that right down. I'm going to subtract that. 227,400 minus 48,150 gives me 179,250. Okay, now let's talk about the desired ending inventory. Okay, you're not going to add these all across. Your desired ending inventory is whatever it was at that time. So the desired ending inventory is 66,900. Okay? However, so let's total it. Total it down. 707, 66,900. We got 77,500. All right. So, but your beginning inventory for the beginning of the quarter, we want to go all the way back to that number. So what was our beginning inventory? We're going to go all the way back, and that's what we're going to bring over here. All right. So the beginning inventory is 45,750. I subtract that, and now I finally get to my budget 728,650. let me just point out to you, if you forget to do that, so if you didn't put in the ending inventory, that proper amount, or the beginning inventory, say you put that last period, you would not tie out. So you have to add it across and add it down, and will always equal that same number. Okay, so that will help you to remember that. All right? All right, so that's a production report. That's how you put that together. Get right in the lab.